Hi, everybody. Welcome to Lily's Antidepressant Life, where we can share our experiences with depression in a safe and healthy environment. And my number one message I want to tell everyone is you are not alone. There are a lot of us depression warriors fighting the daily battles that rage inside our own bodies. And it's important to take the time to acknowledge each other and lift one another up. I know sometimes I am too bogged down to be able to climb out of the pit of despair myself. And I need a friendly hand to give me that boost. And I like to be that friendly hand to everyone else as well. Today, I want to talk about the big game we just had here in the United States, the Super Bowl. I wrote a blog about it for today's 3 o'clock Wednesday on my website, lillystrong.com. That's Lily with 3 L's, LILLYSTRONG.com. I hope you'll check it out and leave me a comment about what you think about it. I want to ask, did you enjoy the game this year? It was super fun. I went to a small party with friends and I had a fabulous time, but I have to admit it's not like that every year. In fact, I can say Super Bowl parties can be huge triggers for my depression and anxiety. And it makes me wonder why. Cue a moment of self-reflection. I am a self-blamer. I criticize myself very harshly and don't really give myself a break. So when I find myself in an overwhelming social situation, I usually end up telling myself that it is my fault and that it is a weakness of mine. And why can't I socialize like everyone else? I think it took the experience of having 3 children scattered on various parts of the autism spectrum for me to clearly see that there is no right or wrong way to deal with social situations. Everybody has a different tolerance for noise, lights, excitement, and visual stimulation. My oldest child will quite literally melt into a wall as if he can escape by becoming invisible. I love him. My middle child will rise to the social challenge and laugh and talk and carry on, but then we'll need to retreat to regroup for several hours afterward, and sometimes even for days, and that's okay. My youngest child, the only one with more severe autism, will actually become hyper-focused, almost like it's a survival technique. He can block out everything else around him and focus intently on the one task he is doing. Of course, that means he needs something to focus on. And if he doesn't have anything, he will resort to rocking or stemming of some sort. An example is we went to Dave and Buster's a couple months ago, and it was crazy loud with flashing lights and video games screeching from every corner. I was done within half an hour and ready to leave. But my youngest had found a video game that he particularly enjoyed and was completely immersed in it. He was able to tune out everything else, all the noise, and pour his heart and soul into this one game. And I think that's a gift. I wish I could be like that. So I can see all 3 of my children react differently to the same situation, and I understand and empathize with each one. Yet I don't give myself a break. And something is wrong with that. Something terribly wrong. And actually, that sentence echoes in my brain, perpetuating my self-blame. Something is terribly wrong. Why is something terribly wrong with me? I can tell you that your feelings are perfectly valid, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I can defend each of my children and their way of reacting to the same situation quite logically. But for some reason, I can't accept my own feelings. So here's my first realization: accept yourself in all situations. Even during the craziest, wildest Super Bowl party ever, if you need to take a little break, do it. If it's too noisy, pop in some earbuds. If you feel like you're getting carried away and drinking a little too much, sip on some water for a little while. Life is not one size fits all. It is customizable. You need to do you at all times, and you need to socially engineer your experience so that it is enjoyable instead of overwhelming. The other thing that I notice is the emotional flow of watching a sporting event affects me. There are really big highs, and then there are deep, deep lows. It's a roller coaster of emotions. Well, guess what? When you are dealing with depression, you are probably already on an emotional roller coaster, and the low points in depression are super low. The kind of low that makes you want to crawl into bed in a dark room and hibernate for eternity. Not exactly the best feeling during a Super Bowl party, right? When I think about it, I think I spend a lot of time and energy on just trying to keep my mood stable and easygoing. That's always my goal. But a Super Bowl party is the opposite of that. I am groaning with each bad call and jumping up to celebrate with each win. It's not easy going. It's not stable or even keeled. And for me, it can be exhausting. But it's also too much fun that I don't want to miss it. At least not usually. There was one year that my son and I sat on my bed and watched the Super Bowl on my little laptop, and that was all the excitement I could handle at that time. But this year I went to a party and I had a blast. So what is the takeaway from that? I can enjoy social situations like a Super Bowl party. Me. I can handle the ups and the downs and all the stimulation. As long as I move through the day with intentionality. It always boils down to me being self-aware, which is not my default setting. I need to realize my limitations and my vulnerabilities. I'm sure you've noticed that my voice is a little like a Disney character. And so I don't do well in big group settings. I can't be heard. I hate trying to communicate when everyone's just going to say, "What?" a bunch of times. So I tend to fade into the background, kind of like my oldest son. And this obviously can trigger feelings of depression for me. Why am I so terrible at socializing? Why can't I be like everybody else? Solution? I can avoid the trigger in various ways by thinking about it in advance. I can choose to stick to a small gathering. I could host a small gathering myself where I can be in control of the volume levels. If I'm in a big group, I can accept that I'm just going to be quiet for a while, or I can intentionally pull someone away to a quiet corner to communicate better. The thing is that power is in my hands. Along with my depression, I suffer from PTSD. So sudden noises make my heart leap out of my chest and make me panic. I know this is my reality and I can't control my reaction. So I can intentionally avoid some triggers. I'm not going to go to a noisy sports bar that is bursting with rowdy, inebriated sports fans so loud that I won't be able to hear myself think. I can almost guarantee there's going to be a loud noise attacking my senses. I check beforehand to see if a party I want to go to is going to have fireworks. Oh, that's a big trigger, and it's best for me to avoid. Or if I don't want to miss out, I can set an alarm on my watch to tell me when it's time for the fireworks, and then go sit in my car where it's not quite so loud, but I can still see them. Intentionality. Do you have triggers? Are there certain things that are going to spark your anxiety or depression and threaten to ruin your good time? Take a moment to think about what sets you off. These feelings are valid. There is nothing wrong with you, and acknowledging them is the first step towards understanding your emotional landscape just a bit better. Take a moment to consider how you've been feeling post Super Bowl. Have feelings of sadness, anxiety, or isolation been stirred? Recognizing these triggers isn't about assigning blame or feeling guilty. It's about gaining insights into what affects your emotional well-being. By identifying your triggers, you can start to develop strategies for coping with similar situations, ensuring that you're better prepared to take care of yourself, no matter what the calendar throws your way. And the ultimate platinum coping mechanism is always self-care. After the big game, I find that I need to up my self-care game just a little. It's a way to ease the feelings of depression that can be activated by a big activity. Nothing huge, just self-care that is intentional. I will plan to take a walk during the sunset. I will write on my calendar that I'm going to have coffee with a friend on a certain day. I will plan to binge watch something on Netflix that I've been wanting to see. Since I plan it, it is an intentional time that I'm carving out just for me. That is relaying the message to my own brain that I am worth it. I am deserving of extra care. What a rush, right? I spend so much time self-blaming and feeling like I'm failing in so many areas that just that little bit of self-love is incredibly powerful. If you have found that your depression has plunged a bit after the Super Bowl, know that it's okay. It's normal. It happens to a lot of us. Don't let your depression trigger even more depression. Take a moment to plan some self-care. You deserve it. No. Deserve isn't the right word. Self-care is not a prize or a reward. It is essential. You need it. Prioritize yourself and give yourself some intentionality. Remember, you are not alone, and you've got this. If you feel like you need extra help in your mental health journey, please reach out to a therapist or a trusted friend. We're not meant to go through life alone. If you find you're in a crisis or emotional distress, there are a lot of options available to help you. Dial 988 anywhere from the U.S. to get connected with a crisis line. It's just 3 numbers, 988. SAMHSA, SAMHSA, is a website that can help you get started on your journey to wellness. That is www.samhsa.org. And there is a crisis text line that is volunteer-based and provides 24/7 free support. You can go to crisistextline.org or text the number at 741-741. All these resources can be found in this transcript of the podcast. I said that backwards, didn't I? The transcript of this podcast, which will be on my website, www.lillystrong.com. That's 3 L's in Lily, Lilly. I also have a number of articles about depression, healing, and rising strong. I'd love to share with you guys. I hope you had a good Super Bowl weekend, and I hope you have a glorious week ahead of you. Remember, you're awesome, and you've got this. You do.